Common questions about audits, Maine Revenue Services. The information in this video is intended solely as advice to assist persons in determining and complying with their obligations under Maine tax law. It is written in a relatively informal style and is intended to provide an overview of Maine tax law. See laws and rules on the MRS website at www.maine.gov/revenue that provide additional information. Taxpayers are responsible for complying with all applicable tax statutes and rules. Videos do not have the same legal force and effect as laws or rules. Why does Maine Revenue Services conduct audits? Compliance. Audits deter tax evasion and promote voluntary compliance. Enforcement. Audits enforce Maine's tax laws in a fair and uniform manner. Education. Audits educate taxpayers about tax issues. There are two main types of audits, desk audits and field audits. A desk audit is usually a straightforward review that can be completed quickly via mail, email, telephone, or fax. In other cases, we may have to examine your books and records in order to verify the correct tax liability. These reviews are called field audits. Field audits typically occur at your place of business or at the office of your designated representative. You may appoint a representative to handle the audit on your behalf by completing and returning Form 2848ME, which is Maine's Power of Attorney and Declaration of Representative form. Find Form 2848ME at the MRS website at www.maine.gov/revenue. Which returns may be audited? A return may be audited for 3 years after it was filed or due to be filed, whichever is later, including any extensions to file the return. That 3-year period may be extended to 6 years if the tax liability as shown on the return is less than 1/2 of the correct liability. If no return or a fraudulent return was filed, there is no time limitation for audit. What about a voluntary disclosure agreement? See the MRS website for information on the voluntary disclosure program that provides an opportunity to come forward voluntarily to report unfiled returns or underreported tax liability. Once selected for audit by MRS, you can expect a written notification including type of audit, tax types and periods under review, auditor contact information. An auditor's identity can be verified by calling us at 207-822-0450. Your rights as a taxpayer. MRS has published a pamphlet available on our website at www.maine.gov/revenue that outlines your rights and responsibilities during an audit. You will be given this pamphlet at the time of the audit. For a field audit, the auditor will work with you to schedule a mutually convenient time to start the audit, provide written confirmation of the appointment date, and mail an initial list of records to be reviewed. The information that we ask to review depends on a variety of factors, including the type of audit being conducted. The records requested could include the following: returns filed with Maine Revenue Services, the Internal Revenue Service, other state or local revenue departments, general ledgers and journals, original invoices, cash receipt and disbursement journals, depreciation schedules, exempt sale documentation, contracts and lease agreements, minutes of corporate meetings. MRS may also review information obtained from the Internal Revenue Service, other departments in the state of Maine, other state or local tax agencies, third parties, or other sources. Is my information kept confidential? All information requested during the course of an audit is treated in the same confidential manner that MRS treats all information under our control as governed by Maine tax law. Once MRS begins an audit, we make every effort to conduct it with a minimum of business disruption. How long will the audit take? The time needed to complete an audit depends on the complexity of the audit and the cooperation during the process. Our staff will work with you to set a reasonable deadline for responses to our information requests. MRS auditors will promptly confirm the receipt of your responses and a time frame for each step in the process. MRS auditors will communicate progress on the case with you regularly. At the end of the audit, You will receive the audit results in writing, along with the legal basis for any of the adjustments being proposed. The auditor will work with you to set a period for you to review the proposed adjustments prior to the issuance of any assessment, if that is necessary. If you still disagree with the results of the audit, the Your Rights as a Taxpayer brochure explains your options for further appeal. If you don't contest the assessment but need a payment plan, you can contact our Compliance Division at 207-624-9595 to discuss your payment options. What can I do to reduce the likelihood of being audited, or to reduce the amount of any assessment? There is no guarantee that a return won't be selected, but it is always a good idea to do the following. File returns and remit tax payments on a timely basis. Double-check your return for mathematical errors prior to filing. On a sales tax return, remember to report gross sales less exempt sales in arriving at taxable sales. Insist on and prepare proper documentation for all tax-exempt sales. Understand what makes up a sale price that is subject to sales tax in your area of business. Remember, if you make purchases from vendors located outside of Maine, you may be liable for use tax. File amended income tax returns following an IRS audit that affects your Maine tax liability within 180 days after the final federal determination. Be aware of potential tax consequences when starting, buying, selling, or closing a business or transferring business assets. Understand the interstate tax consequences if you conduct business in more than one state. And don't forget to always read communications and information sent to you from Maine Revenue Services to keep informed of changes to laws, rules, and filing procedures. Questions? Contact MRS at our service center, by phone, or by visiting our website.